Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So after the death of Charlie Kirk, Van Jones rather shared the private message Charlie Kirk sent to him. So in today's video, we have Megyn Kelly calling him a coward for trying to spin it. Let's hear what she's got to say.
Now we've got to talk about Van Jones. He came out on Friday with a nice story about Charlie, and as I'm sure he predicted, it's now getting even conservatives to say nice things about Van. Well, I'm not one of them, not today. And I'm going to explain to you why. I'm just going to start back before the Charlie event. Let's go back to when my life blew up at NBC News. You all know the story. So I was twisting in the wind. All these newspapers were calling me a racist because I said, like the blackface Halloween costumes, they weren't like considered cancelable back in the 70s and 80s when I grew up. When did that happen? When did that change? It's literally what I said. That's the thing that caused the big controversy. And I got, quote, canceled for it. And people literally were calling me a racist for asking that question. So Van Jones called me. He called me in the wake of that. We'd always been friendly. I was on Fox, he was on CNN, but we've been friendly. And he said, Megyn, I just want to say what's happening to you is wrong. It's deeply wrong. And I want to see if you're okay. So sweet, right? Extra touching because this is a black man in media. And so he gets it. And he and I had lunch. I don't know, like we knew each other. Like we're friendly, if not true friends. And I was like, Van, this is so sweet. I really appreciate it. And he said, is there anything I can do for you? And I said, well, if you'd write an op-ed or an opinion or say something publicly, that would definitely be helpful. And he's like, I'll do it. I'm like, wow. And I remember feeling actually relieved because I had very few defenders, if any. I had a couple on the right, but nobody on the left. And like a week went by and he hadn't done it. I'm like, I was dealing with a lot at the time. He wasn't at the forethought of my mind, but I did realize it would be a helpful thing to have come out. And I followed back up with him, saying, just checking on whether that's happening. And he said, so sorry, but I changed my mind. I can't do it because I recently did a thing with Jared Kushner, and now I'm getting death threats. And the FBI says I really shouldn't put myself back out there because I'm getting these death threats now. And so I can't say anything on your behalf. Okay. It's whatever. I said, no problem. Totally get it. No worries. Goodbye. Wasn't expecting anything from him in the first place. It was his offer. It was his to withdraw. But that is one of the reasons why what he's doing now around Charlie really stood out to me. So what did Van Jones do around the Charlie Kirk story? The Monday before Charlie was killed, which was the Wednesday, September 10th. So this is the Monday, the 8th. Van Jones went on CNN and attacked Charlie Kirk. He attacked him because Charlie had suggested that there was a racial motive, at least in part, in the slaying of Irina Zaratska on the light rail train in North Carolina. And the reason Charlie said that is because it had broken in the news that day that the murderer, who is black and Irina was white, said, I got that white girl. I got that white girl. It's on tape. And either Van hadn't done his homework or ignored it, if he did know about it, or stupidly wrote it off as meaningless. Either way, Van went on CNN that Monday night, 2 days before Charlie was killed, and attacked Charlie as a racist for concluding race may have played a factor in this murder. And here's what Van said.
Charlie Kirk to say, we know he did it because she's white, when there's no evidence of that. It's just pure race mongering, hate mongering. It's wrong. Then he says that if something like that had happened the other way, there would be sweeping changes imposed on society. Where is the George Floyd Policing Act? It didn't pass. That we don't know how to deal with people who were hurting in the way this man was hurting. Hurt people hurt people. What happened was horrible. Someone like Charlie Kirk, he should be ashamed of himself. No one mentioned the word race, white, black, or anything except him.
Okay, so that was factually erroneous. And it was a smear. It was defamatory of Charlie Kirk. He was wrong on every front. Everything he said there was wrong. Literally every word out of his mouth was wrong. And a day and a half later, Charlie was killed. For the record, while I was on the air covering the Charlie murder live on this program, I did say, this is not Van Jones's fault. I was sure to point that out, and I maintain that position now. I do not believe Van Jones caused Charlie Kirk to get shot. But I do believe the collective leftist messaging around prominent right-wing figures is endangering them. From Donald Trump to Stephen Miller to Charlie Kirk and beyond. That is my firm belief. I'm sorry, but there's just too much evidence. I don't think my leftist friends are having to live their lives surrounded by security. Like I now am, like Ben Shapiro has been, like Michael Knowles has to, like Matt Walsh has to, like Charlie had to. I don't think they are. I don't want that for them. I don't want it for me or my friends on the right either.
And to be honest, the reason why they won't feel threatened, the reason why they won't walk around with security is simply because the conservatives, they don't live by taking lives or hurting people just because of what they're saying. They don't believe in violence. They believe in that discourse. Come, let's talk about it. From what I've seen so far, so you don't see anybody on the right encouraging people to go out there and do this to them because they're hateful, they're spewing hate. You don't see them doing that. So that's why people on the right will never attack anybody on like the other side. From what I see going on, there's a video I saw yesterday of a white man that went into the brown neighborhood to talk with them. Guys, I was enraged on his behalf watching that video. I couldn't even bring myself to watch the video to the end. The man was even falling on the ground. They were hitting him, pouring things on him. They were not even scared that they were being recorded. That's how far this has gotten. And I love the way Dairo, the CEO, and his guests, the way they framed it, that those words are making people see these guys as objects and not as human beings. That is why somebody can boldly go and unalive them, because they've stopped seeing them as a human being. They've started seeing them as a threat. This person's a threat to human being, so he needs to be taken care of. I don't know if you guys get my point. But as of one of Van Jones, I don't know. It's possible for him to feel sorry for all what he has said, because he might be having a rethink that, just maybe all the words I've been saying have come. This is the result of it. Anybody can change. I'm not seeing that as him just being a coward. That's why I said. I don't know about you guys, but you can correct me if you think I'm wrong. Let me know in the comment section. But don't forget to like and subscribe, and take care of yourself, guys. Bye.